Hi, I'm Claire, and this is Read for Initiative, the Dungeons & Dragons inspired game that I use to pick what I read every month. If you've never seen one of these videos before, the basic idea is that I roll dice to decide how many books I'm going to read in the month and what those books will be. And then at the end of the month, I get experience points according to how well I've done. There's a whole system of leveling up and character classes and debuffs and all that good D&D stuff. So let's get started and I will explain as I go. We ended the month of June and started July with 9,596 XP, so that was level 10, and for July the dice decided that I should read 7 books and fulfill 5 reading prompts. Now I did read 7 books in July. I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, which fulfilled the prompt of reading a book with white on the cover. I also read The Deep by Rivers Solomon with David Diggs, William Hudson and Jonathan Snipes. Buffy the Vampire Slayer Volume 1, High School is Hell, that's written by Jordie Bellaire and illustrated by Dan Mora, as well as Volume 2, Once Bitten, which is also by Jordie Bellaire, the writing, and then the art is by David Lopez. Next up, I read The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water by Zen Cho, The Jumbies by Tracy Baptiste, and Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin, and that last one fulfilled the prompt of reading a book with orange on the cover, a little bit of orange in the title of that book, as well as a book that I was reading for awards consideration because it was a Hugo finalist and it did in fact win its category. So if you've been counting up the prompts at home, I did only fulfill 3 of the prompts that were given to me by the dice in July. I didn't get around to reading a YA contemporary or a non-fiction. I actually started my non-fiction pick, Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, but I haven't finished it yet and I only count things that are finished at the end of the month for my Read for Initiative. I had to set a limit and the limit is it needs to be finished in order to count, so all of those pages and everything will count for next month. Speaking of pages, I ended up reading 1,240 pages this month because even though it was 7 whole things, a lot of them were quite short. So only 1,240 pages, but that still gives me 1,240 XP because this game is scored with 1 page read equals 1 XP, and after 1,000 points I get a level up. So I have now leveled up to level 11. My new total is 10,836 XP. I've also got 50 extra points for completing 7 books, which was the number that the dice said I should read, but I lose 50 points because I failed to complete 2 of my reading prompts, so no change at all. I also get points for reading shorter things, for reading books under 250 pages, and this doesn't include comic books because I didn't want things to be too easy, but even so, even with just novellas and middle grade and short stories and things like that, I have read 4 things under 250 pages this month, so that's 100 points extra for me. This is because I'm playing as a halfling rogue, and just because I enjoy novellas, I made the rule that I would get extra points for reading shorter things. So now I am at 10,936 XP, and that is where we will end the point counting for July, because I do have some side quests, but I have made 0 progress on those in July. As you may know, my side quests are that 1, I am trying to reduce the amount of physical unread books that I own by reading things from my physical TBR shelf. And the thing is, I was doing pretty good at keeping track of how many new books I bought and then how many books I read from the shelf earlier in the year. But with lockdown and stress and everything, I have completely lost track of how many books I've been reading versus adding to the TBR, so I do not know where my TBR is at the moment. I need to take inventory of it and, you know, try and get back on track for the second half of the year. I have also recently bought a whole bunch of books whilst attending virtual online Worldcon because it was supposed to be the first Worldcon in New Zealand. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was supposed to be in New Zealand. I was so excited. Of course, it ended up being online, but there were still some New Zealand authors that were present and that I hadn't heard about, so I ended up buying a ton of books by Kiwi authors, and hopefully there should be a video soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe a little bit more. One of the books is coming from New Zealand, so it might take a while, but I will have a full book haul of like just book by New Zealand authors that you might not have heard of. So I'm really excited for this, but I bought a ton of books, so I need to like rejig everything and make sure that I know what starting point I'm using when we next do this at the beginning of September. So I'm forgiving myself for this one for this month because I have no idea where I am. And the second side quest that I'm doing is that I'm trying to improve my NetGalley ratio. I'm trying to request fewer electronic review copies from NetGalley and review the ones I've already got because it's bad at this point. Now, I didn't review or request anything in July. I didn't even touch NetGalley in July. However, I did request 5 new things last night. Well done, Claire. I'm recording on the 4th of August, so those will definitely count for August. I still can catch up if I read arcs and review them, then I can reduce that number, which brings me to the focus for this particular video for this Read for Initiative. We are going to do our dice rolls as usual, but we are going to focus on arcs, because if you don't know, a lot of people here on BookTube in August focus on reading review copies for Arc August, Advanced Review Copy August, and I am gonna do that too because I have so many. Now, some people focus on reading backlog arcs from previous months or years. Some people read forward. I'm hoping to do a little bit of both. I'm gonna show you some of the arcs that I've got because it's kind of what I'll be choosing from when I'm looking at the prompts that the dice give me this month. I've got a little stack here of arcs that I received from publishers last year. The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, A Chain Across the Dawn by Drew Williams, N.K. Jemisin's How Long Till Black Future Month, and The Bone Shifts by R.G. Barker. And then I've got another stack, even bigger, of things that I've got this year from publishers. Now, obviously, I got more than 4 last year. I did read some, but there's also some that I'm less interested in. And then for this year, I've got these. These 2 were from the beginning of the year. And obviously, this gorgeous hardback here, that's the Illumicrate edition of The Court of Miracles. You have seen my arc of this book many times on this channel because I keep putting it on reading lists and then not reading it. But then we've got 3 new ones, including The Relentless Moon by Mary Robinette Kowal, Savage Legion by Matt Wallace, and The Trials of Coley by M.R. Carey. I've got the first book here, The Book of Coley, and then The Court of Miracles is by Kester Grant. Those are choices that I've got. And then I've got like over 25 unread books still to review in my NetGalley. Some of these are for the next few months and I'm going to be trying to get to those. So it's a reduced TBR to pick from, but still quite massive, like probably, 40 books? And now let's get to the actual dice rolling. First up, I'm going to roll for Constitution, which is going to tell me how many books I am going to attempt to read this month. Now, my base is 5 books and I'm going to roll with a d12. So if I have a very high roll, I get to add a bunch of books to this base of 5, and then if I roll very low, I get to remove books. That's kind of how rolling dice works. So let's see how we go this time around. I have rolled an 8, and an 8 in my table is plus 1 book. So I have to try and read 6 books in the month of August, and that is going to be something I definitely do, I think, because I have at least 4 things that I need to read, like 2 things to finish and 2 things to fully read for the Booktube SF Awards. So, you know, 6 should be manageable. I'm not going to put the Booktube SF Award books in the, like, prompts that I'm about to roll now, because that seems like it wouldn't be very fun, because you all know what those books are, because I keep trying to read them and not reading them. But in any case, time now to roll for Initiative. Again, I have a base of 5 prompts, and if I roll very high, I might have to do a lot more than 5. But let's see how we go. I have rolled a 13, and in my table, a 13 is plus 3 prompts, so we are going to roll for 8 different reading prompts and see how we go from there. So if you've not seen any of these videos before, I've got some random encounter tables that I've filled with reading prompts, and I am going to roll 3 different dice to pick from those reading prompts. First up, I'm going to roll a d6 because I've got 3 random encounter tables. So on a roll of 1 or 2, I go to the first table. On a roll of 3 or 4, I go to the second table. And on a roll of 5 or 6, I go to the third table. And then all these tables have got a bunch of reading prompts in them. And to decide which reading prompt, I'm going to roll 1 d10 and 1 percentile die to give me a number out of 100. Now, there's not 100 reading prompts per table because I couldn't come up with 300 reading prompts, but there are about 25 per table, something like that. So we do have like a very nice big range of choices. Now for our first roll, let's see what we get. We have in the first table number 19. 19 in the first table is to read a most anticipated book. So a book that's on one of my most anticipated lists. Now for this one, because I've got arcs for a bunch of my most anticipated releases, what I'm going to do is to pick a novella right off the bat to have something nice and short. So the novella that I have to review that comes out next, if I'm not mistaken, is Burning Roses by S.L. Huang, which comes out in September 2020. So I might even for once have a review of a thing out when the thing is coming out. So that would be really, really exciting. For roll number 2, let's see what we have. We are going into the third table and we are going to prompt number 3, and that is read a graphic novel, which is very, very nice because that's very short. The thing about read a graphic novel is that, as I mentioned, I've read the first 2 volumes of the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic in July and I like them and I'd like to continue them. But, well, number 1, they're not an arc, but I don't think I have any arcs of any graphic novel, so I'll have to bend the rules just for that. But also the next volume in that is a crossover with the new Angel series, which I haven't started yet. I'm not as familiar with Angel, the TV show, as I am with Buffy, because I've seen Buffy like a million times, and I've watched half of season 1 of Angel one time, so I'm not sure I would enjoy the kind of remix aspect of it as much. Now I don't know if I can continue reading them. If anybody has read them and has kind of advice or thoughts or any kind of take, please let me know about it. That weird pause I just had was me remembering that I've got the last 2 volumes of Giant Days on order, one of which I think I've read online on SCRIBD already, but I've definitely not read the final volume, so that's going to be my pick because I want to know how Giant Days ends, and that is going to arrive at my house very soon, and it'll be the latest, shiniest thing, therefore I know that I'm going to read it, so I might as well put it on the list. This is how we roll in this house. For roll number 3, we have in the second table number 47, and that is read a book that has a screen adaptation. No, I hate this prompt. We already had this prompt for the reading rush like really recently and it was already boring and I already didn't read the book that I picked for that prompt for the reading rush, even though I had like mangled the prompt to fit me better. I don't like this. I'm gonna re-roll, I think. I am playing as a halfling rogue, as I mentioned, and my perk as a halfling is that I get to re-roll 1 single dice every month. So I have to pick one of these dice to re-roll. Now, obviously, if I choose to re-roll the, like, table dice, I have, like, 2 chances out of 6 to get the same thing, so that's bad. I mean, I guess I'm gonna go with the percentile. I guess. I don't know what is the best idea in terms of probability, but that's usually what I go with as the percentile when I'm hoping for a change. Obviously, if it falls on 40, again, I definitely have to go with that and I can't chicken out at that point. But it fell on 80, so now we have 87 in the second table, and that is read a magazine issue, which is a thing that I rolled. in a recent read for initiative, and then I didn't do because I had a massive reading slump. So it's definitely a thing I should do. I'm gonna say the same thing as last time, which is that I'm going to read an issue of Fire magazine because number one, I have a subscription to Fire. Also, I said I would read it last time and then I didn't, so I feel like it's only fair to, go with that again. And also because Fire is great and very, very obviously pronounced fire. Role number 4 is in the first table, that's a 6, is it? 19? No, that's a 9. I know how numbers work. We have 93 in the second table, and that is read an epic fantasy book. Well, I guess I do have more than one. I was gonna say I just have the one because Savage Legion is on my mind because it's new and in fact shiny because Saga Press do these really cool like kind of shiny covers, and also because Matt Wallace is my friend, so I do want to read his book. I have heard some really good things about it. It's really recently out, so that is something that I want to get to. It'd be nice to review something that's recently out. For an epic fantasy, it's not that huge, so cheers Matt. That was nice of you to do it that way. I say that, but it is like almost 500 pages. I am going to get an audiobook of this. There's no way I'm getting through all of this in like a physical copy without an audiobook. And that's nothing to do with like the quality of the book. It's just how I personally manage to read and focus on books. But yes, Savage Legion. I was hoping this would get on the TBR because, it's new and shiny. For role number 5, we have in the third table, number 48. And that is read a 2019 release, which is interesting. I do have a bunch of those that I have in fact shown you, plus a bunch in my NetGalley. So let's see. 2019 releases. I'm gonna order it by publication date, which it's weird that it doesn't order itself by publication date because it's a review website, but whatever. Do we have anything short? We do not have anything short in my NetGalley 2019 reviews. Nor really in the stack that I showed you before. I think I'm gonna have to go with How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin, just because I just read N.K. Jemison's Emergency Skin like really recently and I loved it so much. And now I just want to read more N.K. Jemisin. I mean, who's shocked here? I love her work, so more N.K. Jemisin is no bad thing ever. So we are on roll number 6 at this point, 3 more to go, and roll number 6 is in the first table, number 29, and that is read a YA SFF. Do I have one of those? A YA SFF book. I suppose The Court of Miracles by Kester Grant probably qualifies as YA SFF, but I'm going to also look at NetGalley. I do have other things on my NetGalley that would fit, but honestly, having put this book on my TBR many times this year, I feel like I need to actually read it, and it's out now. I was really, really excited about this when I first got the arc because it's a Les Mis retelling, and then I heard from Adri at Nerds of a Feather, who is a reviewer I really, really like, that the book features a straight relationship between the main character, who is a take on Eponine, and then like one of the revolutionaries who is supposed to be Enjolras, and it's like, how did you manage to write a Les Mis retelling in 2020 that's like less queer than the original classic book? Because I'm in the fandom and like that's something that I have a lot of feelings about. It did kind of, make me more hesitant to pick it up, like less enthusiastic certainly about picking it up. So now I am going to try and make the effort to actually see, what it does with Les Mis, because I do want to be reading Les Mis retelling. I am interested in seeing what they do, and I would love to do like a video looking at a few of them at some point, so I do need to actually get over myself and read the book. Now we're on roll number 7. We've only got 2 rolls left, and notice how I have done the thing I always do in these videos, which is that I haven't doubled up on any prompts yet, and I have picked mostly long things. So Let's try to double up or pick shorter things if we cannot double up at all, because this is gonna be bad. I mean, we have one novella and one graphic novel, so it's not the worst, but we still have a lot of novels on this list, especially when you consider all the BookTube SFF stuff as well. So, roll number 7, we have in the second table number 3. We've already had number 3 actually today, but it was in a different table. Read a book under 100 pages. Look at that. That's really good. I could, for this, just count Burning Road. I don't know that. I don't know if it's under 100 pages. Let me see. No, it is actually 160 pages, so that would not go. I don't know why I saw under 100 pages and assumed automatically that a novella would be under 100 pages, because that's really, really short, even for a novella. Do I have any arc at all that's under 100 pages? That's a real good question. So the answer to that question is I really do not. So instead I've gone to my Goodreads and I've ordered it by number of pages going up. So I have the shortest things showing up now, or in fact long things that don't have page numbers, because that's just how Goodreads is. It's very annoying. So for this I've got 2 options. Neither of these are arcs. Like I said, the dice will have what it wants. That's the only stuff I've got under 100 pages on my Goodreads want to read list. We have Spellswept by Stephanie Burgess. This is a little story that happens before the start of the first book in the series. The Harwood spellbook is really, really like fun and lovely historical fantasy romance series, and they are novellas. Like the full books in the series are novellas, so the interstitial bit before the first book is even shorter, and that is 75 pages, so I could read that. I know I already really like the world. And then there is As the Last I May Know by Esa Huang, which is now a Hugo Award winning story, and I have not read it yet. I have done really, really poorly at my Hugo Award reading this year because everything was a bit too much, but you know, if I can catch up, that would be good. And this story won an award, so you know, it is probably great, and I really, really enjoy Esa Huang's writing, so that is another possibility. And this one is only 32 pages, so that would be a very, very quick read as well. Both of these I think would be a really nice evening of reading. Those are my options, and then we have a final roll to do, so let's remember to try and get either something really, really short or a repeat. And our final prompt is in the first table, and we are going to number 97, which is to read a second book from an existing prompt. By the way, read a second book from an existing prompt is the prompt for 97, 98, 99, and 100 for every table, which was a wonderful idea from Adri at Nerds of a Feather. Yeah, I think it rocks, and I think I'm definitely going to do a second book for the under 100 pages prompt or the graphic novel prompt. We'll see, but thankfully I have some prompt that force me to go short, so that's what I'm gonna do because, you know, so many books, so little time, actual work to be done. That means that I can't read all day, every day. I think it's very rude that I need to be employed so I can feed my cat. But in any case, that is what the dice said I should do for this month. I have to read 6 books, fulfill 8 reading prompts. That's a lot of reading prompts. I do have 2 books to read fully and 2 books to finish for the BookTube SFF Awards, and then I have picked yet more books to fulfill these 8 reading prompts. So hopefully that will be a lot of arcs read for me this month. If I manage to read everything like super early, I will try and use the second book for an existing prompt to like read another arc, maybe another arc of another novella, rather than book under 100 pages or graphic novel, which are the only 2 where I couldn't pick an arc. So maybe I'll try not to double that up, actually. That's annoying because that would have been very good for stacking up with short things, but I do realize that it kind of goes against the idea of trying to read mostly arcs if I can, and picking arcs where I'm able to. So, yeah, curse that logic of mine. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you read any of the books that I'm planning on reading, if you're excited for any of them, what do you think of the game, you know, all that good stuff. And I will see you very, very soon with many more things. There's book hauls coming. There's specifically a New Zealand book haul coming. There's just a lot of hauling coming. I think you'll see when my book hauls hit why I had to say that I am going to take an inventory of my shelf and see how we are doing with not bringing too many new books in the house, because I brought a lot of new books in the house. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.